Well, today we're doing a Squier practice amp. And can you believe, due to cost cutting, this part right here made this amp not work. So it weighs less than a cage Switchcraft jack that goes in the front. I can't believe, in the name of cost cutting, this is in Fender and Squier amps all over the place. It's complete garbage. So follow along while I show you how to fix your amp. Okay, the first rule of Fight Club, or working on electronics, is unplug it. Electricity is dangerous and can kill you. Capacitors inside the device can store electricity and are dangerous. Don't touch things that you don't know what they do. Working on the jack's pretty safe. So, okay, first you got to remove the back to get access to the actual electronics. After we remove the back of the case, we can see that the board and the shield are attached to the top by the handle. So you remove those two screws and then wiggle the board and shielding assembly up so you can work on it. And remember, don't touch the bottom of the circuit board. Capacitors store charge and can shock you or kill you even. So, okay. But working on the jack plug area is fairly safe. Just don't touch anything with your bare hands. So to remove the old jack, we use a solder wick, which you just need a little bit of flux in the solder wick and your soldering iron. After you get some flux on the wick, you take the soldering iron and heat the wick after laying it on top of the joint you want to remove the solder from, and it wicks it away from the joint. Okay, after doing all four connections, two of them are just holding tabs and two are the actual physical connections. Okay, we can remove the old jack. After this, I went and cleaned the excess flux off of the motherboard with a little bit of the green can of brake clean. Note the location of the negative and positive poles. This will be important when you go to reattach the leads to the board. Okay, now we'll replace the jack. Make sure the lock washer is in place. Put the wet washer on the face of the amp. And then install the nut. I'm going to use a ratchet to make sure you have it tight. So, or a wrench. Make sure it's the proper size. And tighten it up. Alright. And get it good and tight. You don't want it to be rattling around there and giving you ground problems. I made a couple of short leads and tinned the tips so they'd be ready to solder. When you're working on a circuit board, you'll find that solder tends to be drawn into the traces. So there we go. Next we do the positive connection. And, oh, not good enough. A little more solder. Okay, got a good connection. Give them a little tug to see if they're good and soldered, and they both are. Okay, we'll take the negative one and solder it to the jack, and then the other hole had a little bit of solder in it, sort of pre-tinned, so we heat it up and push our lead into it. Okay, and then we plug the jack in and test our connection. Be very careful with it plugged in with the back open. Okay, then we unplug it and wrestle the circuit board and shielding back into place. This is a bit of a fiddly job. It is okay to touch the top of the inductor and the shielding. Okay, and then using a screwdriver helped to tuck the vinyl back under in the front because it really didn't want to comply with the face of the amplifier. So after we wiggle that in place, get it lined up, it's a little more fiddly than you might imagine. Tucking it in there. Okay, and as you push it up flush with the top, then it will cover up all the rest. So the screws to remount the handle and lock down the amplifier assembly. They can be a little fiddly, so take your time and be careful. After you get them in and tightened in, you replace the back cover and the 4 screws that are in it, and you're all done. Not much harder than replacing a jack in a guitar, and it should last for years. And there you go. Pretty simple repair. Just replace this crap jack with something a little better. Takes a few minutes. Oh well. So be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back next time with more cool guitar stuff.